Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 3 for 1 Sky Fantasy Podcast from Fantasy Football Hub as we look ahead to Sky Game Week 32. Welcome, Paul, and how has your Sky Week been so far?
Yeah, another middling week, I would say, Fergi. 749th. I did use a few transfers at the weekend. I'm set up nicely, but yeah, my punt on Kudus didn't work out.
Oh, you
I
had
should
him
have
in
went with
Sky.
Madison.
You had him in Sky. Oh, sorry, I
Yeah,
thought
I
it
should
was
have
your
went.
dream team, not Sky.
I should have went Madison like I'd suggested last week would be a good differential. Nice 10-point start, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. I'm okay with my decision making.
Oh, good stuff. Had a decent. I used another 3 transfers. I'm using another one tonight. I'll be down. I think I'm down to 12 after tonight. I know. Look at it. but I got a good rise, which is good. So went up from 280 to 211 or 212, I think, which is fine. But I brought in Romero for Saliba. I brought in. Goodness, I should have my team out in front of me, shouldn't I? This is awful. Who else did I bring? I brought Watkins back in because I took him out for Saka, and I also brought in Neto for Edison. So I have got a plan, and now I'm bringing in Palmer this evening for Dunk, which will leave me with 12. But it does mean I think I touched on it last week. I've got Neto. I think I'm keeping Van Heck. Got Neto, Van Heck, and Palmer then as my enablers, and I've quickly worked out that in the next 3 or 4 moves I can do, I can get. I'll be able to keep Son. I'll be able to keep Van Dijk. I'll be able to keep Watkins, and it means I can also add Salah, Haaland, and Saka if I want. So that's the reason why I've kind of done it that way. It means I have to keep Van Heck, but I'm not too bothered about that. I'm not like for his price, a bit of passing bonus every now and then is fine. So yeah, really happy. I think I'm probably slightly behind the curve. In terms of transfers, but all good overall.
Do you know? We talk about this point of the season when we're looking at 1K, like top 1K ownership and the amount of dead teams, etc. I think Romero's ownership is a good position of determining largely who's engaged. And that's not to say that if you don't own him, that you're not an engaged manager, but I feel it was like an obvious defender move when there's limited defender moves around. And knowing that his ownership was basically zero a couple of weeks ago, right? If you had even a handful of transfers left, Romero wouldn't be one of your last 5 transfers.
Right.
So the fact that he's at 62% ownership makes me think that maybe top 1K ownership, there's maybe like 70% engaged or still active with a semi-reasonable transfer count, and I'd probably rule out maybe 25-30% of teams now.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard. It's hard to move. I think I was looking as well. I think the gap in points is very saturated as well. It normally kind of stretches a touch, but I was just having a look actually earlier at the Sky Content Creators League, and like I say, I'm 212th in this league, and only 20 points behind me, which is nothing really, right? One of the guys, Craig, he's 365th. That's 140 places for 20 points, and then just a little bit further down, another 5 points down, is another 50 places. It's very, very congested. So it's I think that's it's good to know that the moves you make, you get them right, can potentially still propel you, because I think we do get into spots sometimes, don't we, where no matter what happens, you're just kind of stuck. So, but yeah, agree with you that is engaged. I noticed as well that Liam Dorian, who we had on the pod obviously at the overhaul, who was 91st, is now 19th overall, and he's only 4 points behind Luke, who's in 18th. So yeah, exciting stuff at the top. Welcome everyone in the chat. Humble Monk is in. It's his birthday as well. 48 today. Happy birthday, Humble Monk.
Happy birthday.
Dave Hannigan is in. Windy is in. Savio. Sam D. Taylor says, what a low scoring game week. He says for me at least. I think I scored 70 odds, so not too bad though. It was great. I think I'd scored 11 points off 4 players on Saturday. Saturday was horrific, wasn't it? Johnny Conley, Bobby Shearer, L. England, Paul Kendall, Bert Welsh, picking up dust. Martin Beasley says, finally in the top 1,000. Well done, Martin. Colin Johnston, Jason Harry, Michael Blackburn. Tim says, how about Petrovic, the Chelsea keeper? We will talk about the Chelsea game next. Jordan is in from the Dream Team Tonic community. Good stuff. Gary Plant, L. England said, I went madders after last week's pod. Good shout there, L. Sam White is in. Got myself into the top 100 with 14 transfers left. He says the only way of challenging the very top is completely different captains. We'll touch on that again in a second. And Dave Baxter's on 24 points behind Fergie, 404th, Brian. But knowing Dave, Dave has got an army of transfers up his sleeve. And Abby says should have captained Son. I was lucky yesterday. Do you know what? I was on Bowen all weekend. Well, all week for captaincy. And it's very rare I do this, but 12.59, I slipped it on Watkins. And obviously Watkins blanked. And I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be the one. This is going to be the one move now. But thankfully, Bowen blanked as well. But that was, and obviously Haaland, who was the popular captain, blanked as well, didn't he? So, what we were going to do, there's not an awful lot to talk about, obviously, because we've got the international break next week. But just have a look at these 6 remaining fixtures we've got now until the international break. Start with the game this evening, 8 o'clock, Chelsea, Newcastle. We've had a few questions. Obviously, Palmer is highly owned. He's going to be really, really popular as captain. We've had a few questions about maybe players like Gusto. We just had in the chat for Petrovic as well. I can't get massively excited about Chelsea assets. It feels like it's forcing it a touch going for anyone else personally at the moment anyway. What's your thoughts, Paul? Just tick the box with Palmer and move on?
I think so. If you had Ederson as Petrovic, the move, I suspect Sanchez might get some games towards the end of the season, and that's part of the rationale of why I wouldn't go there. I still don't think that the boat's been missed on Neto necessarily. Like, Bournemouth aren't great defensively, but he's still got a good fixture run, still at a decent price. You know he's nailed as well. And you get the extra game on Wednesday. I think I'd be more tempted to do that. If I didn't have captaincy, I think I'd still cover Palmer. I just think his price point, Chelsea have got good fixtures after the international break. It might be a case of who to take out, and that's something I'm deliberating over just now, whether I could just admit my mistake and take Kudus out, or Rodri. I'm fancying taking Rodri out. He's on 8 bookings as well. I know he's very highly owned, so if he does do anything in any games, then I'll take a massive rank drop, but I am contemplating doing that.
Who's the player we've got different then? So I'm on 4-3-3. I'm taking out Dunk, I think. Have you still got Dunk or no? Have you taken him out?
I don't have Van Dijk.
Van Dijk. That's the difference. Okay, fair enough. Okay, yeah, interesting. Yeah, I just can't get excited. It just feels like, because it's a single game day, it's kind of heightened, and there's only one real serious option in the whole fixture. I think the people want to try and make something, try and make gains. I just don't feel this is the fixture for it. I think there's plenty more opportunities, in future. I would personally.
Gusto like looks the part. Like he's been brilliant, but if Reece James comes back before the end of the season, I know how injury prone he is, but he is likely to take some minutes off him. How's
Gusto been doing with passing?
It's more tackle based, where he would pick up his bonus.
I just can't get excited about him, to be honest. I just think people are thinking of taking out Van Heck for him, whereas Van Heck looks to get passing almost against whoever he plays. Even if they concede a couple of goals, it's still 3 or 4 points, and they will keep the odd clean sheet as well along the way, until a better option maybe becomes apparent. But I don't think Gusto is it for me personally. Looking ahead then to the next few games, we've got Bournemouth Luton on Wednesday. Anything so much out from here? Obviously, Solanke missed a penalty and blanked. Not much happened. Neto had a 4-pointer. Not much really happened on the weekend for either of these teams. Not too much to get excited about.
I made the point in one of the group chats that Solanke's penalty miss for me only mattered if he captained them.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it didn't matter, did it? I was kind of laughing really because I was laughing because I know the outrage. We all a lot of people captained him in FPL, got him in Telegraph, got him in Sky. Like everyone's going to have him, right? So those things are just I just find them funny for the
I'm of a similar. I'm of a similar ilk. If he's very close, if someone's very close to 100% ego,
doesn't
and
matter
I've
what he
not,
does,
and
really,
I've
does
not
it?
captained them, yeah, I'm pretty. Yeah, the more banter, the better. Especially because there will be some people that have that have captained them. I think, like, so looking at it from a selfish point of view against people that I'm competing with, then I think that I'm happy with decisions like that. I think in terms of like the only real transfer opportunity, someone had proposed the Haaland to Morris,
Yeah,
and if you didn't own Solanke, I think that is a fair shout. You get 4 games out,
yeah.
then doubled up with the captain, then 2 single games before going back. Perhaps that makes sense. I do. What do you think of Neto if you didn't already have him and you had Ederson in your team? I don't think the Ederson injury changes the decision making on anything with City not having a game next week anyway, and then the international break. But would you make that move?
I would. I think he's a good option. Right, like regardless for all the things you mentioned earlier. Plus he's good for saves, right? So he made six saves on the weekend. He's the kind of keeper even when he concedes, he's good for 3 or 4 points again for his price point. And there's no other, like when you look around, there's no other real standout option either. That's the thing. There's no nailed person who will get like for a single game day or has got an excellent run of fixtures. He is the one with all the excellent run of home fixtures. So Luton, Everton, Palace, and Luton again in the next 4. I reckon he keeps maybe 1 to 2 clean sheets there and some bonus.
They may get the rearranged game early as well, depending on a few.
They may, and I think I mentioned it last week when James was on as well. Part of my strategy of kind of holding through this period is because we'll look at it next. We'll kind of have a quick peek after the international break. But I've got Haaland at the moment. I took him out on the weekend. I'm going to be wanting to get in Haaland, Salah, Saka, all these players, all for the running. So then I'm going to know whether I need to keep Neto in goal, or whether I can afford to kind of move him on. So for his price, for me,
you're going to run out of transfers.
What's that?
You're going to run out of transfers. You're going to run out of transfers.
Well, maybe I've made a slight plan. I've looked ahead now, and I think is it 3 transfers, 3 more transfers? I think it's 3, maybe 4, maybe 3 to get in that team, and then my team just reads. It's just the optimal kind of team for the run-in. And then it's just kind of managing around. I'm going to run out in terms of not being able to take advantage of all the 3-for-1s. I completely get that.
Yeah, exactly. That's
But in terms of having a really well-structured, well-set-up team that I can just pivot on and off a couple of times and have the odd for emergencies, pretty happy, I think. So, but yeah, I will.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with you. You transferring in the 3 or 4 best players in the game. Your next 3 or 4 transfers.
No, I've still got the benefit of example of using them. So I've still got, for example, Tony, 2 games off Tony before Haaland plays again, for example. So I've still got that kind of benefit to come as well, and already got kind of Bowen in place, already got Son in place, and things as well. And then I can make a decision then on whether I want to take out Tony or Watkins back to Haaland. I like having options of who to come off because of either a forced injury or actually looking at Tony's fixtures compared to Watkins. Brentford's fixtures from Wednesday, 3rd of April through to the end of the season, every single game is fantastic from an attacking view. They go Brighton, Villa, Sheffield United, Luton, Everton, Fulham, Bournemouth, and Newcastle at home. They are mint. So I may decide to go a different route back to Haaland. I like injuries within the context of fantasy football. I like injuries because it gives you options. It gives you options to be able to move off different players rather than play a prescribed way. Anyway, I can't get excited of Morris, Haaland. Maybe who they got away to Bournemouth.
If you didn't have Solanke, I think that the 4-for-0 in that period of time.
Maybe just can't get excited about it really personally, but yeah, and obviously Luton play Forest again 3 o'clock on Saturday. Burnley and Brentford. Fulham and Spurs. What kind of calls out for you from those games, mate?
Not a lot, to be honest.
It's a crappy few days, isn't it?
Yeah, like Fulham's got this great record at home as well, so I wouldn't advocate wanting to go without Son for that game. But it was part of the reason I went Kudus over Maddison is that I was targeting the Burnley at home game, which was a bit of a disaster. Didn't even get the assist points for the deflected assist at the end. But nothing really stands out for utilising transfers there, I don't think, unless you've got an injured player to get rid of.
If you don't have Son, would you advocate bringing Son in on Saturday?
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I would. And Romero as well. Like Spurs do have some nice fixtures after the international break, so if you don't own either of those two players, I would consider it. And if you have got an injured player and you've got those two players, then maybe I would consider bringing Maddison in if you've got a player that you don't want long term as well, just to partner up with them.
And then Sunday, West Ham and Villa. Watkins obviously got very, very high ownership. Some players have got West Ham, some Bowen, some got Kudus. Watkins, 90% owned or wherever he is in the top 1K. Again, it's going to be a bit of a procession, kind of like this evening, really, I think, where, just easy pickings, really, kind of round off the week. Anything exciting poke out?
2.2% of people have got Kudus, actually.
How much?
2.2%.
2% of disappointed
of rookies. No, of rookies like me. Nothing beyond what you've already said there. I think kind of got standout captains already for each of the days. I wouldn't be advocating going too far away from what the obvious is. So, Bowen Watkins, maybe Villa's record away from home isn't great. I just think with his overall ownership, I just think I'd go Watkins, be nice and safe in that position.
I think having Bowen, it's like having a West Ham player by themselves is a differential in it there, as well as having Watkins, I think. So, yeah, I wouldn't be overly fussed about going against it, really. But yeah.
I'm going to take Rodri. I'm going to take Rodri out, definitely. I'm just going to do it. Yeah,
I'm quite surprised at that. He's just a machine.
Well, 8 pickings, a couple other things. Does free me up a little bit more money to play about with as well. I don't know that I think he's guaranteed to get bonus against Arsenal as well on the first Sunday back. Yeah, I'm going to go against it for a little while.
Feels like you're tilting just a touch, maybe.
Maybe, but not beyond the point where I'm going rogue captains or anything like that.
Yeah, you're just taking out the best players in the game.
You just done it with Haaland. So.
I know, I got away with it. It wasn't until I don't know why I thought that Haaland out would be a more popular move last week until it got pointed out to me on the weekend that he was still like 90% on the top 1K. I was like, oh my god! And then the captaincy polls on the hub were all towards Haaland. I was thinking I've really missed a beat here, but fortunately, everyone flopped. So it was all right. So yeah. Boring week, really. Palmer, Neto for Bournemouth, Son on Saturday, potentially Romero, Watkins captain Sunday. It feels after the last few weeks, because there's been so much opportunity and so much variation and diversion in strategy, that it doesn't feel like we've had one of these weeks for a long time. But it's just a case of settle yourself in now and get comfy over the break at the kind of rank you're in.
I'm looking forward to the international break. Just kind of
is that as a Scotland fan or as a?
As friendly as I like, and I'm not going on a trip anywhere. I'm not going to the Netherlands game, so
okay.
Not so much from Scotland perspective. Just as a little break before the intense running.
Yeah, and it will be intense. Let's just have a little peek over the horizon, and straight away for me, we've got these clusters of teams have got 4 games in really quick succession. For those who don't know, obviously the first weekend back, there's a full Premier League fixture list, but there's also one midweek. So teams are going to play twice in 3 or 4 games, and then 3 or 4 days later again. So it's going to be a really chaotic period. Teams like it's interesting though, because I saw Man City and Arsenal play on the exact same days. Liverpool play a day after on the final 3 as well. The things that stand out for me, I think the most is Salah in on the Sunday the 31st for the Brighton game. Potentially as captain, I think, and that's I think what I've been trying to work my strategy around, as I say, over the last few weeks, is getting my team into a position where we can just get him in. Does he stand out for you for that Brighton game, or would you consider captaining Haaland and bringing him in after that?
Yeah. Salah's definitely the standout captain, in my opinion, on there. One thing that struck me after the national break is, if you don't consider Sunday the 31st of March's fixtures particularly great, and you're looking for that midweek hop on. So, for example, they say they're like City play Arsenal. That's not a plum fixture for either of those sides. Maybe you'd argue, particularly from the offensive point of view, that Liverpool is a good fixture against Brighton. So I had a look to the midweek to say, right, okay, who could I potentially move on to bring the Arsenal players back? So if you've sold Saka and you've sold Saliba and you don't have any Arsenal players, you want them back for the Luton game, right? And they're on the Wednesday. And it's less about who you're bringing in, more, and that point again about who you're taking out, because on Tuesday, the 2nd of April, are all the teams that I've got lowly owned players. So there's not that many options to take players out to bring the Arsenal player back in there, which I think is interesting. I'll form part of my kind of decision making then as well. Newcastle's got a really good run after their national break as well, and Anthony Gordon, who's now got low ownership again, could be someone, particularly with those good home fixtures that Newcastle's got in that period of time as well.
Yeah, agree with that. I think there's a cluster of teams there, kind of on the second half of the year, where we brought in quite a few of their players for the sort of short to medium term fixture volume games. Teams like Spurs, for example, potentially Brentford, definitely West Ham, and Bournemouth, who've all got this cluster of fixtures, but they all seem to then diverge over, don't they, from like the 31st of March or the Wednesday, the 3rd of April, onto the bigger teams again, the Man Cities, Arsenal, and that, as I say, that's my strategy, is to kind of, I'm going to move on Bowen and Tony and all these lot I've got.
I think you keep in Van Heck's smart move. I've got him just now, and it's less from being smart and more that I have limited options in terms of who to move on to. But I think holding him at 6.7 million, like, he gets tackle bonus sometime as well, even though they've got like horrible fixtures over that period. I don't think it's the worst move, particularly when you can pivot and move easily to get players in of a higher value. If all the top players stay fit, people are going to want Son plus Salah plus Haaland plus Saka plus Saliba plus Van Dijk. There you go. That's like already eaten right into the budget.
Yeah, I think I asked on last week's pod. I kind of asked the chat, and Ian Parrin came back and said, if you have Neto, Van Heck, and Palmer, you can basically have anyone you want. And I've had a look, and I've got 0.1 left in the bank for all. I don't think I've got Saliba. I think that's still Romero, but I still have got Rodri. So I could, if I really, really wanted Saliba, I could take out Rodri. It seems to be a straight choice. But Rodri seems to be the kind of player that once you take him out, you're not getting him back in, because he'll never be a captaincy option. You'll likely not get massive fixture gains off him again. So I think he's a hard one to make a transfer to get back in personally, unless it's like a 4-for-1 at the end of the season. But that's why I'm keen to keep Rodri. But yeah, I think Van Heck, like just looking at the next 4, right? They got this horrible run. Away to Liverpool, he could get, he'd probably end up with like a 1-pointer, right? I mean that's fine. Away to Brentford, probably 2 to 3 points potentially. Home to Arsenal, maybe not a lot either, but he gets points. I suppose is the thing. Looking at kind of Bowen and Watkins and other assets, when they blank, they properly blank, don't they? And even after that, Brighton go Burnley, Chelsea, and Bournemouth as the next three. I mean, they could get a clean sheet or two in them. So unless something really obvious emerges,
the season where
I love his passing.
Where there's not many defensive points, though, right? Like Saliba, Gabriel, maybe even Ben White, free Arsenal, and Van Dijk, and then beyond that,
yeah,
I don't know.
Not much there. Anything more to add, Paul? We had a question around which kind of fixtures excite us towards the back end of the season. Obviously, it's hard to see in terms of fixture runs because we haven't had the April and May fixtures out yet for the the kind of the 3-for-1s and 4-for-1s and stuff. But I shouted out Brentford's earlier. They've got a fantastic run of fixtures. I know they're not in the best of form, and I'm not saying pile into Brentford or anything, but it certainly has made me think twice about getting rid of Tony because they've got a superb run.
Don't laugh, but Man United's fixtures are good.
No, I think it's a good shout, especially from an attacking view.
I know. Well, Onana would be
Onana
as well at some point if the fixture volumes fall a certain way.
Well, on Sunday the 14th of April, they play on the Sunday, obviously, and then their final 6 or 7 fixtures from that point would be Bournemouth, Newcastle, Burnley, Palace, Arsenal, and Brighton, which is decent, as you say, and the extra game as well, which is fairly decent. So yeah, if that falls on the Sunday, yeah, that's a good shout. Just looking like Luton's final 5 games are really nice. Not that we kind of pile into Luton. Everton's run-in is pretty good. If their fortunes change for the last 5, they got Forest at home, Brentford at home, Luton away, Sheffield United at home. You never know. There could be kind of something there. Yeah, they're the ones I call out. Out of the bigger teams, I think Arsenal's run-in is actually quite tough. Like from now, actually. So they go away to Man City, then they're home to Luton, was obviously nice. Away to Brighton, which could be anything. Home to Villa. Then they go away to Wolves, away to Spurs, home to Bournemouth, away to United, home to Everton. That's not an easy run for me, that Arsenal one. I'm not Saka and Saliba, are probably I think they're probably enough. Can't really get excited over any more than those. Man City's is decent. I think, though, obviously we all know about rotation. In case anyone hasn't seen, Ederson's been ruled out for 3 to 4 weeks. Not that I would suggest bringing in Ortega in this format because Ederson will get his place back, and Man City don't generally keep lots of clean sheets. But yeah, interesting look over the top. No doubt we'll be talking about this a lot more in a couple of weeks' time when we get when we're a bit closer. Quick look at transfers remaining as of Friday. Top 10, 12.7. Top 100, 14.1. Top 1,000, 15. Top 5,000, 14. Get the feeling that they'll have reduced over this weekend by the end of tonight.
Romero jumped from like 10% to 62%. So there's 0.5 off the top 1,000 anyway. Just with one player. And then you've got Bowen's. Bowen increased significantly over the weekend. Son took another jump up at the weekend. Neto took another jump at the weekend.
And Palmer's only on 44. He's probably going to end the night on, what, 80?
85, I
think.
90 probably.
Yeah.
I
think so as well.
Yeah.
So plenty used. I can see those averages going down to maybe 12. Maybe 12, I think. Down from 14.
Yeah.
I think average of 1 over, and then average of 2 over the 3. Yeah, interesting. In terms of your transfer strategy, are you still on holding on planning a few more than the average?
I'm burning them on differentials at the moment, so
burning them on taking out Rodri. No.
You would definitely take out Kudus. I admit,
I would, mate. You're gonna want Rodri till the end.
I purposely. Well, how many games do you have to go to avoid the 10 bookings?
I think it's to game week 32. So about another 4 games.
32, 32, but it's how many
Yeah.
games your team's played. So
Yeah.
it'll have to be 32 games. And how many
I
City
think they
played
played
just now?
20, I want to say 28.
7?
27, 28. Yeah, so...
Well, all it'd take for him is to get booked in 2 games, and he plays Arsenal in one of the games. I think Villa maybe in that period, maybe not.
Yeah, it is, but he's only been booked 8 times in 28, so that's like over 1 in 3. So the odds of him being booked 2 in 5, knowing he'll get a suspension.
Well,
I don't know, mate.
Maybe.
I get it. I do.
Maybe.
I do get it. And even if he gets his ban, just take him out then. You're holding on to Kudus. I don't know.
But then I'll use 2 transfers instead of 1.
Yeah, but you've taken out Rodri for Kudus.
I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm
going to beat you this year. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I know it's not. It's very unlike me, and I did accept when I went to get him that I know he's a 2-2-2, 15-2-2-2 type player. I totally accept that. I was just wanting to get lucky on the 15s in that run.
Right. There's your answer, right? Do some really quick maths, right? Add up 15, 2, 2, 2, and 2.
Well,
I 25.
I could do that by looking at his season points and dividing it by his appearances instead.
There you go. So why are you holding him ahead of Rodri? Who are you going to want Rodri back? You'll want him back, Rodri, definitely. Maybe. Madness.
I've got hop on points for Rodri, and I'm
or you could just hold. You could just hold him and save yourself a transfer. And just. I think what you're doing is you're trying to. He's a mistake. You know he's a mistake, and you're just trying to get some points of it to make yourself feel a bit better.
I accept that. I was going to have to bring in Palmer anyway, so it'd be 1 transfer, and I've got 2 points out of 1 extra transfer. Then I would have to have used. So I've made transfers and been in negative positions before, so I'm not. I accept that that's the case, and I probably shouldn't have done it.
If someone in the chat asked objectively with no context, who would you take out tonight for Cole Palmer, Kudus or Rodri? What would you say?
If you give me the context of your position and you're in my position.
Give me the context of I've just burned a transfer on the weekend I didn't want to make, and now I'm trying to get out of it.
Maybe.
I'm only playing. I'm only playing. I know you enjoy.
No, it's all good.
You just enjoy.
You're right. It's not a me thing to do usually. I've done it twice this season because remember I done it with Matoma, and I hate Matoma in this format as well. And I did it trying to do the same thing then as what I'm doing now as well.
Hope it works out.
I called it a fun punt yesterday.
I bet you're calling him something similar now, but rhymes.
yeah. It's not been particularly fun.
Okay. Questions. I think we've answered all the questions. Actually, I think this is going to be quite a short pod this evening. Have you got anything to add, Paul, from a Sky view? I'm ready to kind of sit back, play it template, and enjoy the break.
Yeah. When I messaged you this morning, like when we were podding, like there was in the back of my mind is like how much value we're going to add in it, but we've done all right to cover 35 minutes worth of content, which has been pretty in depth, I would say. So
I think now we've got another 20 minutes on what's your favourite, so that's why people really tune in.
Yes.
So that's
it was definitely worth going ahead with it.
No, it's not massively exciting one this week, but it's worth maybe a little chat. In the chat, I want to know, and Paul, I want to know, what is your favourite board game? If you were to sit down with your family, like at Christmas, and it's like, oh, go and get the board game, your favourite, you'd say, oh, that's my favourite. What would that be? Really interested. Let us know in the chat as well.
If we're going to sit down with people that enjoy the game and play against them, I love Risk, but I very seldom play it because just people that are willing to spend a couple of hours on it and aren't as interested in the strategy. Yeah. I like longboard games. I like taking away large elements of luck from games as well. So I'd say Risk's my favorite. I love board games. I'd say Risk's my favorite. Couple alternative ones. Have you ever played Carcassonne?
No.
Very, very good game. I played it a lot in lockdown on like the digital version of it.
Okay.
It's really good. And I think even though it's a global game and it's a card game rather than a board game, I don't know where the
I was going to
line's
ask about
drawn.
card game as well. Yeah.
Uno's very, for how simplistic a game it is very underrated.
Uno is one of my favorite games, without a doubt. And if you get a chance, I don't know if you've ever seen Uno Flip. There's all these variants on Uno, but on Uno Flip, there's basically two games on both sides. And instead of like you've got an additional card, like a power card, which is flip the deck, and then you have to turn your cards over, and then you've got a completely different set of cards, and you play the game the same way, but you're like lights and darks. So much fun. And in the house we've also got an Uno thing where you it's like a machine, and instead of like pick up two, you push a button and the machine spits out random numbers of cards. So it'll go like blank, blank, 4, blank, 1, blank, 6. Really, really cool. So
that sounds great.
It is good. In the chat.
What about you? What's your favourite?
My favourite in terms of just purely having fun, and it's really, really well, it's a pretty, basic one thing. Really, I really enjoy Cluedo, and it's not for the kind of strategy or anything like that. Really, I just really enjoy playing the game because I've got teenagers now. Over the last sort of 10 or whatever years, I've had to play games that anyone can play, which is probably why Risk and all that sort of stuff have probably been kind of out of my life for the past few years. But we always have fun with Cluedo. I just really enjoy it. Monopoly as well. Obviously it's good.
I'm a big Monopoly. I'm a big Monopoly fan, but nobody wants to play that either. I think it's the length of the game that
I think it's how you play though. I think in these games, Monopoly in particular, and even in Uno and other games, there's house rules wherever you go in there, and sometimes the house rules can elongate the game ridiculously, and sometimes make it a bit too short. I think if you can find the sweet spot of the small house rules, I think it's really, really good. Sam D. Taylor says Monopoly. Dave Baxter, Trivial Pursuit. Bobby Shearer, Articulate. John Aconley, Scrabble, classic. Dave Baxter says Risk equals kudos. Gary Plant is Logo. Is that the one where you just name the logo? I don't know. Is it?
I guess so.
Yeah, not heard that one. Savio says Dame. Sam White says Carcassonne. Did you say?
Yeah, the Carcassonne. Yeah,
is a banger. Snakes and Ladders, Geo Boys, card games. Cards Against Humanity, Sam D. Taylor. I played that in work a couple of times. Kicking Up Dust says Cluedo. Big fan of cards as well. I like Don. It's like a social club sort of game. 9-card Don. It's probably known by different names in different parts of the country.
What's it like, Bragg?
No, you play in pairs actually. You play kind of opposites, and then you score based on what you put down. It's kind of like a variant of trumps, but you have like 5 is worth 10 points and all this kind of stuff. But you play with a partner, and your partner, by the cards that you play, has to kind of read what you're trying to draw out and things. It's a really, really cool game. And yeah, back in the day, obviously things like 3-card Bragg and 5-card poker and all this stuff, and went to casino for years, Texas Hold'em, back before it was cool. Really, really enjoyed that. Michael Blackburn says, anyone tried the Traitors board game? I had it for Christmas, Michael, and I found it really, really tough to understand, to be honest. As much as I love the Traitors, that was tough. Yeah. Anything else spring to mind, Paul, board games?
I think that's it. I can't think.
Simple is best for me. Do you know the worst I ever bought? Golden Balls. You had to set it. It took like about 3 hours.
Is that the one with Jasper Carrot?
That's the one. Oh my
Jasper
goodness.
Carrot.
Oh, it was awful. Yeah. Simplicity is key. That's why I like cards. You know, like a game of trumps. So easy. It's really good fun. Anyway.
Well, there has to be some level of strategy. I can't handle like Snakes and Ladders. I can't play Snakes and Ladders because
of course. No. I completely agree. I meant simplicity in kind of setting the game up rather than simplicity of play. Yeah, I don't like bingo, for example. I don't see the point in bingo. Sammy Tate says, anyone else like Frustration. I can't. Do you know? I can see that game, but I can't remember what it does. I used to play it when I was a kid. I think frustration.
Frustration, is that the one that's like?
Did you bang the middle or
Ludo.
something? No.
Yeah,
You do,
like,
do you?
Is it like Ludo?
I think
Or is
so.
it- Maybe that's a different game.
Anyway, good stuff. Thanks everyone for joining us in the chat. We had more comments on the board games we did about Sky, which just shows what a quiet week it is. But yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for everyone watching and listening. Your continued support is much appreciated. And thank you so much, Paul. Where can people find you?
On Twitter at Paul McAnulty1, MCANULTY.
My handle on Twitter is at FFH_Fergi. If you like what you watched, please press the like button. Remember to subscribe in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. If you enjoyed your listen, please rate the podcast versions and leave some comments. We'll be back in 2 weeks to preview Sky Game Week 33. So we have a break next week for the international break. In the meantime, we hope you have a great Game Week 32. Enjoy the final international break of the season, and goodbye for now.